I've started to fit the back scene down the side of Piccadilly Station, so stick around and all will be revealed. Well, hopefully you can see what I've got here, and I'm sorry if it is a little bit small. But to create your own back scene, first of all, you need to create the page, which is going to be the right size. And you can do that by going into page design. This is publisher, by the way. And then go to new create or create page. And then you put your measurements in here in centimeters. Okay. And that will create the page you want. And then what you need to do, and I can't show you this unfortunately because of the copyright part of it, but go into Google Maps, into the 3D section of Google Maps, and lower the camera down as low as you possibly can, and try and get to the buildings to get to the view you want. Now I wanted a view where I was actually looking up slightly at the buildings, so you can see for these buildings here, I can't see the tops, and that's quite important to some degree. But I am going to, later in this, I am going to make that ever so slightly bigger and make it slightly proud. What you do then is take a screenshot and place it onto your publisher desktop by cut and paste. And obviously you've got to crop off the taskbar and all the information at the top and all the rest of it. Crop that down, get it to the size you want it. And then you move the camera slightly by using the arrow keys on your keyboard. The arrow keys just here. And position it again, but so that the angle will change ever so slightly. So what you're doing is there. And you just keep moving the camera in Google. So you end up creating more of a flat view as if you're doing that all the way along. I hope that makes sense. It is difficult to explain it, so please, I apologise if it's not quite clear. But then you build it up. So if I zoom in close, you can see that I've taken this building, for example, there, that's the view I'm having of that building. And then I've just bring that one in so that it sandwiches up close. And then this will be covered up. That awkward little gap there will be covered up by this building being made big. I'm hoping that's going to be clear. So there's another line coming down there. But again, when I make this all big, I'm going to do some drawing over the top of that to blend those two bits in, and so on and so on. Right, you may notice that this version is slightly different from the previous one because I pointed out all those lines that were going down the page. So what I've done is I transferred the image to my iPad where I've got an Apple Pencil, and I was able to draw the page back in and get rid of the lines and sort of blend and effectively put it in like a photo editor like Photoshop, but that sort of thing. So it does look an awful lot better now. I will still be cutting around some of these buildings, you know, to get rid of that horrible straight edge there. Anyway, I'm going to start printing it now, so I'll be with you shortly. Well, I thought I'd just show you this. Now, I've just printed the first page, and this point was pretty much just slightly to the left of the page there. So all I'm going to do is click the left arrow on the keyboard and just slide it across. You can see the whole thing is moving until it reaches just slightly to the right of that, to the edge of that page there. You can see the edge of the page coming down. And then that way I've got some overlap, and I'll just keep doing that until I've got the whole print. Okay, I'll speak to you in a minute. Right, so there we go. That's all those bits printed off now. So the next stage would be to trim the one edge where the page is going to overlap, and obviously the bottom, and then cut the top off. What I might do, first of all, is to cut around some of these buildings, because I do want a jagged landscape. But when you look over there, it's all flat, particularly on that one. So I might just pick out some of these buildings and just cut round the lower ones just to give it a little bit more of a jaggedy sort of look, and then just pair it up. So cut this one, glue it to that, and then cut that one, and so on and so on. So I'm cutting them as I go along, but it's just a case of, if I take you in a bit further, like for example, you could see there's a nice flat edge there, then it goes down as that chimney, and just follow around the bigger buildings really over that chimney there, just to give a bit more of a jagged look, because the cityscape is not a flat thing. But the other thing I want to point out is, I must admit, I'm a little bit disappointed with the overall print. This is a laser printer. So if I show you on the computer, it's a lot brighter there. The colours are a lot more vivid. So I was hoping for that, to be honest, because this does look a bit grey. And you might say, well, it's the printer's running out of toner. It's not. It's 3/4 full on every cartridge, or toner cartridge, so it's not that, but I just couldn't find the settings to enhance the colours. That's the way it goes. So anyway, I'll probably end up having to colour this in with a coloured pencil just to brighten up some of these areas. Some of these, like the roads, I'm really not worried about that, but the greens and the trees, I think it do need to be a bit brighter, but coloured pencil will work wonders. All right, anyway, I'll get all those glued together and trimmed down, and I'll see you in a bit when it's all one piece. Bye for now. Right, so I'd show you where we are so far. So you can see now I've printed off the strip, and if you notice, cut all around the top. So we got more of a natural cityscape, although it's not. It is a little bit on the flat side, but it's more in keeping with that, if that makes sense. Sort of up and down. Yeah, this is just the back layer, so it won't finish up like that. But obviously, there's a lot of buildings at the back here, and I originally designed this for that bit to go up there, but I've just noticed that actually this bit here was the old Mayfield station, and the track used to come out along here, which makes me think a bit, because I've got a track coming out here. Now, it isn't lined up perfectly. I'll have to fiddle about with it. But if I can get that to look as if it's coming out there, that would solve the problem of what's that track coming from there. Does that make sense? So I'm hoping that will give the impression that's going into the old Mayfield station. This bit here is obviously quite an open scene, and the idea, I want to give it some depth. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is to print another one, but start to take the middle scene, sort of, oh, it's a bit of a job to say from this wet, probably from that building around there, possibly along that road, I don't know, down here a bit. I'm not sure at the minute, I'll have to think about it. Right, for the next bit, as you'll see now, this is another layer, a different print, but I've cut a lot lower than the previous version. And now I've got some 1mm grey board. So I'm now going to stick that onto there with a standard glue stick, Pritt stick type glue stick, and we'll take it from there. Now, you'll notice that when we get to the joint here, obviously it's going to be quite weak, so what I'll do is I'll just stick some paper behind so it's stuck both sides, and that will hopefully hold it reasonably rigid until I can get it stuck to the back seam. All right, so I'll get that stuck on, and the next thing I need to do after that is just colour around the edges with a pen, or appropriate coloured pen. In this case, it's probably just going to be grey for most of that, to be honest, but obviously when the buildings come in, you might just use a beige colour around that bit, grey around that bit, and so on, so it matches. All right, catch you in a bit. Well, I just thought I'd show you where we are so far. So you can now see we've got this bottom level along here, there, and you may just be able to make out that I've lightened the top. I've just run over it with a white pencil to try and give the impression that that back section is a lot further in the distance. And also I've gone over these parts here with a darker pencil. You can see all that. I'm nowhere close to finishing this yet, but hopefully that part of it there, you can see the buildings are standing proud, which I quite like. But what I want to do next is to put on another layer. So the old Mayfield station, along with that part of the bridge, does need to come further forward as well. Well, that's where we got to the end of the last clip, but I've done a little bit more, so I'll show you that now. I've now gone ahead and put another relief on here, so you've got two further levels. Just noticed a bit that's a little bit obnoxious, but I'll deal with that shortly. So you've got this part now sticking out, and also you've got the bridge, and you've got the Star and Garter pub just there too. All right. Now you might notice that if you scroll back and look at the last clip, you'll notice that the first print, the original layer for this, is just as vague as it is at the back. Now, I don't mind it being really vague up here and to this level to some degree, but when we're getting down here, I really want it to start looking as realistic as I can possibly make it with the tools and facilities I've got available. Now, what I had to do with this, I printed it off again and just cut lower and just mounted it onto a board. All right, so I've got to sort out the perspective on that because that is all over the place and I'm not happy with that at all. And we also need this bit sorting out because this glass roof again doesn't look quite like that. So again, I will just take that to one side and just go over that, I think, just to make that look a little bit cleaner. But this bit down here, I wanted it to look a lot better. Now, when I printed it, it come out almost black. So I went over it with some water-soluble pencils, colour pencils. First of all, yellow to brighten it up as much as possible. Then orange to start dulling it down again. And then a pale brown over the top of that. And then finally a darker brown. The camera's not picking it up as clearly as I would like it to. Now, if that isn't completely correct, I'm not going to worry about it, to be honest, because I had a video where I stood at this end of the platform when I was actually at Piccadilly, and I walked along and the camera sideways and took a video of the whole scene. And I can't find it. So I've had to go on Google and find other people's videos of trains pulling into Piccadilly and then take snapshots. So I can't show you those pictures, of course, because it's not mine, but it was just to get the idea of what this bridge was doing, because obviously it slopes down, as you can see, but I also noticed it got all these arches in it. So I thought, well, I might as well cut them out. And these bits here, again, I'm not overly happy with it looking at it here, but they represent the small buildings which stick out from underneath the arches. So I might do something with those because they are sort of sticking out a bit too much. But it's only blue tacked on at the moment and it's a start, okay? Now for the Star and Garter, the original print was, well, dreadful, to be honest. In fact, I didn't even notice it was a real pub or a building. It just looked like a squiggle on Google Maps 3D. But so I found out what it was from Google Maps, and then I Googled the picture. It's the Star and Garter pub on Fairfield Street. So I just Googled it and brought up a load of pictures that I could perhaps use. So this particular one was good because it was taken from the platform. So it's actually from the right perspective, whereas a number of them are taken from the ground and looking up at the pub. So that didn't look quite right. You know, so this one is at the correct angle, if you like, sort of like that. So hopefully that is more convincing, and it does need a little bit more work on this, I think. So I think what I'll do is I'll continue with this next week and get this back scene completed, because there's things about it I like, things about it I don't like. I'm not so keen on having all these straight edges along here, so I'll have to see what I can do about that. But I also want to work on these buildings. I want to put another layer over the top and emphasize the corners. So a very thin card wrap, where I bring this corner out probably by about 1 millimeter, so it actually forms a corner, if that makes some sense. And I've also made the building just a tad bigger, probably about, you know, 3 or 4 millimeters bigger than it is there. And same again with that. Bring out this far corner here and along those ones there as appropriate, the nearer ones. So I am going to leave the video there. I hope you've enjoyed it. So please do like, subscribe and share if you enjoyed the video. And I'll be back here very, very soon on Piccadilly. Take care of yourself.